If you showed up here seeking out a simple explanation of an interesting looking anime from your favorite vegetable on the internet, then I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to you. Because hello and welcome back to Binging Last Season, where I get angry about people on the internet who probably aren't people to begin with. I mean, at this point, half of the reviews on my anime list are probably written by ChatGPT, and AI is just taking over the internet. The dead internet theory is probably real, and this whole thing is fucking bullshit. And don't worry, we're gonna get to Mayonaka Punch eventually. I just want to start off with a few other anime that I watched recently that really just kind of wasted my time or pissed me off, and then you as a viewer can watch as I get progressively angrier through the course of the video, and that'll be fun for you, right? You see, even though the summer season was kind of weak in my opinion, there was still a lot of shows that I wanted to watch that I'm showing on screen right now, and that I never managed to get to, but I did manage to get to 3 anime this week that I was seriously disappointed by in a few different ways. And we'll start with the least disappointing one in my opinion, which was Bye Bye Earth. Now, despite its stupid name, Bye Bye Earth actually has a lot going for it. It is fundamentally interesting, the characters are interesting, the world is interesting, the concepts at play, the idea of growing swords, like cultivating them as if they're plants, and the power that's inherent in certain words in this world, not those other words. You know what I mean. The larger storyline is interesting, the mystique of it all is fundamentally interesting, and despite all of that, I have still somehow managed to not give a fuck. Like 3 episodes in, I still don't care, and I don't know why. If I had to crack a guess at why it's not interesting, I'd probably say it's one of 2 things. Either A, you introduced way too many concepts at the same time, and you didn't give any time for them to sink in, so you've just got all of these cool ideas that you're just like, isn't this neat, isn't this neat, isn't this neat, and it's just like, well, give us some time with it, you know? Don't just move on to the next thing immediately. And the other possibility is that the concepts aren't fundamentally interesting. They're only interesting because of the other fantasy and science fiction works that employ them to great effect. But them by themselves, they don't actually stand out especially well, and this show makes absolutely no effort at showing off these concepts in a way that you would think is cool. They just say they're there. It's almost like making a reference to something else and saying, don't you like that other thing? And it's like, yeah, but you have to carry your own weight, bro. And if it sounds like I'm taking Bye Bye Earth too seriously, it's because I am. This is the only one that I haven't finished, and I don't know if I'm going to. I might go back and finish it, or I might just leave it dropped forever. I'm really not sure. I feel like I should give it a chance, but 3 episodes in and I still don't care. When am I gonna start? Now, luckily, I don't have that problem with Ramen Akaneko because it fucking sucks. I genuinely don't know who they made this for. I have no idea, because it's not for kids, even though it looks like it should be for kids, because the animation looks absolutely horrendous, and the only appeal in general is that there are cats there, but the cats look like shit. So I don't know who they made this for. I don't know who would accept this level of visual apart from children. But it's not goofy. There's not little gaffes. It's about a person working a job that got fired from left their last company because it was like a black company or something. And like, that's not for children, I don't think, unless they're telling kids in Japan about horrific workplaces, but I don't think they're doing that. But there is a cat that serves ramen, so I guess that's goofy enough for kids. I don't know. I don't know who they made this for. I assume this was made to appease AI in some way, shape, or form, because if you look, and I demand that you go to my anime list right now, look at the reviews for this show. They're all written by AI. There's just absolutely no chance that an actual human being wrote those reviews. It's just not possible. Oh, this is my favorite anime now because it's got cats and ramen. And those are my 2 favorite things, cats and ramen. Ah ha 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 ha. Kill me. Look, I'm not even dogging the voice acting or the story. I might even check out the manga just to see where they're going with this. But sometimes you just cannot get past default building.jpg in the background. I can't. This looks like shit. And now we're going from hating the adaptation to hating the community. That's right, it's you guys. Pseudo Harem currently has a 7.85 on my anime list. I'm gonna say that again. Pseudo Harem currently has a 7.85 on my anime list, and I know why. I don't even have to ask questions now. I just know you fuckers. I know you're just like, oh my god, it looks slightly different from everything else that's coming out right now, and I don't like that little cute style that everybody does nowadays, even though it looks like objectively better than other things, as you're about to see with Mayonaka Punch. But once again, oh, this is just, it's different, and that makes it good because it's different. And they show the passage of time over the course of the series, and that elevates this because nothing else shows the passage of time. Oh god, we're so different. Meanwhile, I'm like 3 episodes in and it's like a 6 or a 7. At best. A 6 or a 7. A 6 or a 7 that I didn't enjoy, by the way. Like a 6 or a 7 that it's kind of weird. It's a little bit creepy. Like, I really don't like the dynamic between the main character and the 2 main characters, the male lead and the female lead. I don't like their weird dynamic where she's just like acting in certain ways that like the way he sort of treats her like different people, the whole thing is weird. Like it's extremely weird, and not in an endearing way where you're like, oh, this is actually kind of cute. It's just in a way where you're just like, I feel like weird watching this. This makes me feel dirtier than maybe anything I've ever jacked off to. What you've got to remember is that Mal is really harsh when it comes to popular shows. Like Ramen Akaneko, for instance, the only reason it's got like a 7.5 out of 10, and by the way, it has that. God knows why. But the only reason it has a 7.5 out of 10 on Mal is because nobody's fucking watched it. I'm one of 5,000 people on the entire website who's even given it a rating. But when it comes to something like Pseudo Harem, it's very popular. A lot of people are going to see it generally. That will drag down scores on my anime list. And somehow, despite that, Pseudo Harem still has a 7.85 out of 10. That is so close to 8 and so far above what it actually deserves when realistically, it's just okay. And this is another thing where I'm getting mad at the current rating on Mal and not really telling you guys what I think about it as much, more so reacting to what other people are saying about it. And I think it's average. Like super average. Like, 6 is what I was thinking because it made me uncomfortable. 7 if I'm giving it credit for certain things and recognizing that I haven't gone all the way through it yet, assuming that it's only going to improve. It could go up to a 7, I think. I don't think it could get much past that, though, if it remains the same show that it has been in the first 3 episodes. I just think it's okay. And I think that everybody is out here going, it's so fucking good because it's so different. That's my assumption. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'll go back and I'll finish it eventually. I don't know when, but I'll finish it, and I'll find out that, like, oh, I'm just completely wrong. And, like, from episodes 4 to 12, it's like the best fucking thing you've ever seen. That's probably not true, though. Anyway, we should probably get to the entire point of this video. Like, did you guys enjoy waiting 8 minutes to get to the actual anime that was listed in the title? I'm sure you did. Mayonaka Punch currently has a 7.37 out of 10 on my anime list. That is way too fucking low, and I am here to tell you why. Short summary. This girl's a YouTuber. She gets kicked off her YouTube channel by the other 2 members for being far too violent for the peaceful Japanese populace. She gets found out by a vampire who is completely obsessed with her, and they team up to make YouTube videos. That's it. That's all you need to know. The plot doesn't really matter. It's really just a loose collection of subplots that are united under this overarching plot of a house of vampires trying to work with this girl to make YouTube videos. What does matter is everything else, and we're starting with the visuals because holy shit, bro. Somebody at PA Works understands motion, or they all do, and they all understand it at a level that is just way higher than what anybody else is doing right now, to the point that it's criminal that they're not working on an action series. And this isn't really an action anime. There are action scenes in it where they show off their really just level of understanding of motion and how to translate it to the screen in a way that just blows your fucking mind every single time it shows up. I understand that some people might look at the art style and say, I've seen too many things that look like this before and it's gonna be mid visually, but it's not. It's not even close. It is way, way, way above the standard when it comes to visuals. With a plot setup like this, you already know it's gonna be funny, and it is, but it's also touching at times, which honestly, I didn't need. I despise the passage of time. We all know this. You don't need to remind me. The only thing I can think of that might turn some people off is that our anchor, our lead character that we sort of put ourselves in the shoes of throughout the series, is a terrible person. Masaki is just the worst person on the entire cast without question. And if you remember my coverage of Makain, what am I, a fucking news anchor? If you remember my video about Makain, you remember that I really hated some of the background characters, some of the supporting cast behind our main character. And that really bothered me. It bothered me that that was his friend group. Those were the people that he was around. Didn't really affect how I scored the show, but I was annoyed at that. And much in the same way that I was annoyed at that, other people might be annoyed that Masaki's kind of a piece of shit. I think she's a little bit more easy to relate to, though, because we are in her shoes. It's easier to understand where she's coming from. And it does set up well for some of the more emotional moments in the series. You don't really expect this piece of shit to do anything good across the whole runtime, so when she does, it's a pleasant little surprise. You go, huh. People actually like this person. And it's crazy how YouTubers are beloved by almost everybody, and yet fucking horrible people. That doesn't include me, by the way. Anyway, I enjoyed this much more than I expected to. I thought I had watched Viral Hit way too recently to enjoy watching another piece of shit try to become famous. By the end of it, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I think this show is worth watching on a visual standpoint alone. I think it's just the way that they animate motion is something that people should see, because nowadays, animators will just put JPEG, moving slightly to the side of the screen versus other JPEG and consider that animation. But the way that they draw motion is just so fucking beautiful that I think people need to watch it so their hearts can feel warm once again. Oh, we're talking about vampires! Oh shit, there we go! And that'll wrap up the summer 2024 run for binging last season. We're not doing the sappy outro that I did for spring because it was sad and gay. I might put out a different version of ranking last season since you guys didn't like the last one very much. It turns out you don't want a podcast featuring me and Chance. I understand that now. I just had to make sure that I got this video out so I could end summer properly, because finally we are moving into fall, and the next video, the next anime that we're talking about is Dan to Dan. See you then.